Growing up in church, we used to sing a song called In Times Like These. We need a Savior. In times like these, we need an anchor. And I wondered, what are the anchors that are holding my artist at this time? In Times Like These was an exhibition that started in July of 2020, and it featured my artist's works that was done during the time of the pandemic. In the middle of March, the gallery closed. I kept thinking about what are my artists doing in the studios. And I thought, I'm going to contact my artist and see what they've produced. Because even though galleries have been closed, the creations of the artist have continued. They go into their studios, they create. It's part of who they are. Obviously, we couldn't have openings, and we still don't have openings and can't. We can have people coming in one-on-one, social distancing and masks, but I had to get the message out there. So I asked all of my artists to do a video talking about their work and how this time had affected them. Not all of my artists were familiar with video conferencing and all of the other things that we've been doing so much of during this time. But artists have a creative spirit and they're willing to try.
Hi, my name's Luke Allsbrook, and welcome to my studio.
Time lost the meaning that I was used to having for time.
I've been painting the American South now for over 30 years.
I'm very interested in how the viewer interacts with my work.
I did start to look at some of these elements a little bit differently. You know, what do the bottles mean? There's a mask.
Part of what I like to do is have it look really nice from any angle.
We are the trees, we are the glacial ice, we are the Tyrannosaurs, we are everything.
I also ask, as I normally do when I do an exhibition, about an artist's statement. As well as having access to a critical analysis by a writer of the exhibition. My artists were challenged by this isolation time.
For me, thought processes have been altered.
He had created a beautiful series of work, extremely colorful, positive, southern images before all of this happened. And Tom said to me, my mind and my hand are not working.
Something about the air out there, that whatever was going on seemed to change what I did and how I did it, or even wanting to do it.
But Tom said to me, I'll try, Sandy.
And on the piece of paper, I painted one silhouette tree.
And then he drew another tree. He looked at this composition as almost like an encyclopedia page, documenting trees.
One thing I thought about was the loss of legendary singer-songwriter John Prine. I listened to a lot of his work during this time because his passing was due to the virus.
And the last album that he had created was Trees of Forgiveness. And so Tom gave the nod to that, titling his work Trees of Forgiveness.
And I wondered exactly what did that mean.
I was extremely influenced by the sudden event of COVID-19, and I tried to paint the rambling waters and the destruction.
Janet Dreskin is the oldest artist that I represent. She turned 99 a few weeks ago.
The swirling and the depressing feeling that one gets from being wet all the time, from life and activity to death.
You can see the turbulence with the way that she dealt with the waves.
This COVID-19 has had such an influence on everything that has affected my paintings, my activities, and I'm afraid it's affecting life as we've known it in America today.
One artist went back to a piece that he had started in 1995.
This for me has been a time of of reflection. So for the past several weeks, I've reworked a piece to expand the color palette, to work with some additional development of surface and build off of what I had started many years ago.
He felt like he needed to complete something. And I find that many of my artists, all of them really, their hands are a way of their expression. And sometimes they don't even know what to do with their hands, but they pick up their materials, and their materials start to guide them into creating something.
One of the things that I found during this pandemic was that making pinch pots, with each pinch of the clay, it seemed to absorb some of the anxiety that I was feeling.
She had these beautiful bowls where the glaze was inside.
But I've also always loved, so putting one thing inside of another thing, some kind of an interesting relationship there.
And she called them meditation bowls. Lean on me.
Although it's a very simple idea, lean on me, I don't know what I would do without a lot of my friends, that I've had to lean on.
There are many different approaches that my artists used in this show. Some went back to a happier day and brought something forward. Others dealt with social injustice.
I bought the book called Slavery by Another Name. There was one photograph that's about the size of my thumb of a young man tied to a pickaxe and left in the dirt. Just horrific to think about, tied up like an animal, left in the sun.
The reality of convict leasing, which me, as a Southern girl, knew nothing about.
A writer can write a book, a songwriter could write a song, a lawyer could pass a law. What can a painter do? All I can do is paint.
And this painting, which was 8 feet long, took up a whole wall of my gallery. You could see the beauty of the painting and the expertise that Ed Rice has, and the horror of the subject matter.
Paint with conviction and compassion. That was my idea.
The title of this artwork is A Night at Home.
John, he's really one of the most progressive Southern sculptors of our time. The work that John did for this exhibition was a wall piece.
And this was the symbol of our state, naturally.
It had cutout guns on top of a house and so forth.
And this, of course, is like in a danger zone on the side.
On the road underneath, there are these shells, real shells.
In our state, we seem to have a lot of incidents that are domestic violence.
Another issue that we're dealing with during this time.
Often 3 or more generations live in the same space. The blues is what they live every day. A big window is their connection to the outside world.
Leo Twiggs was one of the first artists to be brought into the gallery. So the gallery has had decades of relationship with him. His voice has been a huge impact in Southern art and beyond also.
Then I decided to put the 2 paintings together.
In his 80s, Leo still has a strong voice.
And then George Floyd was killed.
There's so many issues these days for Leo to consider and how he has dealt with them.
They should left their sheltered spaces and began marching in the streets. And I heard their voices, and I began another painting.
Not only is he experiencing it now, but he's lived through those years of injustice.
And I knew I had been to this place before.
He has found a way to express himself, not just in the negativism of all of this, but also the hope that we can overcome what we've been dealing with and the injustice. In times like these, art has a role. Art can be an avenue for change. art can make us see ourselves and how we respond to things. Art is part of contemplation. It can be part of solace. It's going to create something different in each person. But I think what this show did is to create more conversation, to have an interaction one-on-one